before the camera came on and we started giggling. This is just off the cuff. This is not anything that Robert and I had planned, but he was here and interested, and I would love nothing more than to show him off to you and introduce him into your orbit and into your space. If you are interested at all in what Robert is doing, please check him out. He's on Instagram, Facebook. He has his own website, and I'm going to be posting all of those links. Robert Swan. Guys, this is a person that I was going to say I bow down.
Oh, stop it.
I do.
No.
How excited was I to see you in the lobby? I about took him over trying to hug him. Hi,
Well,
Wendy. Hi, Michael.
We've been through a few things together. Jamie and I have been to Antarctica together,
Yes.
no less. And explored a few things and still keep exploring a few things that are our things. Making some developments. And my mother, by the way, everybody, is 106 years old. And Jamie's never met my mum, but they're quite similar human beings. So anybody watching, Jamie's going to be here for a really long time. Live as long as my mum.
I know this already. You know, I tell my husband all the time that I'm going to live longer than him. He finally told me I can't say it anymore. It upsets him.
Really?
And I say, don't worry about it. You will never have to bury me. Like, I will take care of you.
Of course.
He doesn't like that.
Really?
Before we get in, can you just take a hot second and share with people what you've done in your past?
Well, it's not really what I've done, it's what we've done. And you've been part of it for a long time. Yes, I am the first person in history to have walked to the South Pole and the North Pole. And they were hard journeys, 900 miles to the South Pole across the great Antarctic continent, and then 700 miles to the North Pole on foot. And those journeys, you know, a long time ago, but they started me down a track, which you know very well, to respond all those years ago to a lot of the issues that, fingers crossed, people are now taking seriously. You know, we walked under a hole in the ozone to the South Pole. We walked across ice caps that were melting 30 years ago to the North Pole. So we touched some of the things that, thank goodness, people are taking seriously now. And I've always tried to be taking a positive approach to those things rather than a negative approach. Because as you know, no one is inspired by people being grim and negative.
No.
So I've tried my best to do that. And right now, well, not right now, for 30 years of my life, I've been trying to make sure that we leave Antarctica, that beautiful continent at the bottom of the world, alone and as a natural reserve land for science and peace. And no one owns Antarctica. And we should leave it for future generations just alone, not exploit it and wreck it like everything else we have on the planet. So that's a long-term mission. And short-term, my goal is, I feel that young people have every right to be angry at my generation, actually yours as well, because we have left them a world that we actually knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
People like my mother's generation didn't know. But our generation did know that we were doing the wrong thing to our world, but we didn't do enough. And the present company accepted. You've tried, I've tried, and possibly people watching have tried. But on the whole, they have every right to be angry. And what I'm trying to do with my son Barney, who you know, Barney and I are trying to say, hang on a minute, you know, be cross and angry, young people, but we've got to turn that anger and frustration towards solutions. And I've just come back from COP26 in Glasgow, UK, and it was plainly evident there that, you know, they're so angry, young people, that we've got to stop the anger, because as you know better than most, anger doesn't get you anywhere in life, and we can't afford a whole generation of people just to be angry. So I'm working on that, and that's about it, really. Going back to the South Pole, but that's another story, isn't it?
Well, maybe we will talk about that. But for those of you who are just tuning in, this is my dear friend, Robert Swan. And he is talking to us today a little bit about his life and what's coming up. But you just heard him talk about Antarctica, and he has a wonderful website www, I can't even believe. Am I doing my age here because I just did the W's? It's 2041.com. In the year 2041, Antarctica comes back up for sale, pretty much.
Well, it comes up. The treaty that protects Antarctica can stop or be changed in 2041. Right now, we all own it. So anybody's watching and, like me, doesn't have any real estate in the real world, you actually do own a piece of Antarctica about the size of a football pitch. It's yours. We all have that responsibility for a place in Antarctica, and that it is the last chance. And I believe we can preserve it. You know we can. As long as people know about it and we make it financially not worth going there. So, you know, I've always been promoting the use of renewable energy. Not only will renewable energy help us here so we can breathe, it'll also mean that no one will go to Antarctica to exploit it, because it won't make financial sense to go down to Antarctica to do that. So, yeah, I have great hope for it. I think we can do it.
I know you can. I'm behind you.
I know.
There's many people behind him. So, Robert, you still do it. You run expeditions or groups of people that you can apply for and take the boat down. Or
like following in your footsteps, because
yes,
you've been with us.
I have. And you have one of these coming up in March?
Yes, we have March the 17th to March the 28th this coming year, from South America to Antarctica. The whole expedition is 2 weeks away from home. So it's quite short, very exciting, and you come away with an experience, literally, as you will underline, an experience of a lifetime.
Changes your entire life, like upside down. So you might not remember this, but one of my deepest woes or fears is deep water ocean. I do not like the deep ocean. Full respect, please, ocean. I would rather climb a mountain than cross the deep ocean. And to get to Antarctica, apparently, you have to. And it's called Drake's Strait.
The Drake Passage.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
It's the roughest waters in all of the earth. And there it is. We cross it. Takes like 6 hours. Is that about right?
Well, I think we gave her a lot of drugs, so we sent her to a room, to a cabin to go to sleep. About 22 hours.
Oh, that's what it is.
Can be rough, can be not so rough, but you were very brave to do that.
It was rough, guys. And I could not sleep well.
No.
And so in my panic, I am up on the boat and I find Robert and I'm like, oh my God, my dear friend, please, like, hold me, console me, you know, just embrace me and tell me everything is going to be okay. Here's his response. Do you remember this?
So I say, brace up and get on with it.
No.
What did I say?
You reached over, you did one of these and you were like, Jamie, look out these doors. What do you see? See that water? It's beautiful. Now, look out these doors. And the other on the other side of the boat. Nothing but water. He goes, right now,
Yes.
if you were to jump out these windows, you would go around the earth and there'd be nothing but water, but ocean.
To come back in the other side. So there you are on the ship, look one way, go around the entire planet, come back, and there's nothing. That probably didn't console
No,
me.
my heart is actually racing right now, remembering I was losing my mind. I looked at it and I was like, what? He goes, hang in there, good job, carry on, walks away, and I'm standing there like sweating.
But you did it. You overcame your fear. And I think on the way back, you weren't so worried, remember?
No, I wasn't. I think I found myself at the bar more than anything
What?
It was the most miraculous thing. And there is a very compassionate call to action during this trip. And what sat with me, one thing that Robert reminds us all the time is when you're making change in your life, make 1% change. It's all you were asking of us that were there. And we were people from all over the world, different walks, different backgrounds. I mean, it was beautiful. 1% change. And when I got back from Antarctica with you, and you tried to explain what it's like to come off the boat, you've looked at nothing but whiteness with colors of black. Maybe the occasional sunset and sunrise that has color, but everything else is black and white.
Black and white.
The sound is wind. It's daunting. It's just like a whiteout noise machine. Unless you hear a whale or like a bird call or something in the
Penguin
distance.
noise, yeah.
But it's white out. I got back and I went to the grocery store to get some things that I wanted, and I found myself having a panic attack in front of the yogurt session.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know about this yogurt panic.
I did. It was a yogurt panic. It was such a panic that I had to call my friend Marla, who was on the boat with me to Antarctica. And I said, I'm frozen. I don't know what to do. And she was like, where are you? I was like, in front of the yogurt. She goes, what's going on? I was like shaking, like on the verge, like falling apart. I said, there's too many choices, Marla.
Yeah.
There's so much plastic. Who's going to eat all this yogurt? What's going on? Where's the supply chain happening? What's going down? I was panicking and I couldn't breathe. And she was like, get out of the grocery store now. And I was like, what do I do with my cart? She's, leave your cart. She's like, take your purse, leave the cart. I left the cart and I got into the car and I started crying. I was like, what do I do with all this experience? So I got online and I bought my entire family trash sticks, walking sticks with the points. And to compensate for my breakdown in front of the yogurt department, I pick up trash wherever I go. That is my vow to the earth, that if I see a piece of trash, I pick it up, which can be annoying to people when they walk with me, or when I carry bags, all the time just to put the trash away, and gloves, the stick, everything. But it balanced my soul. That was my 1% change. And I thank you for that.
Well, I think that also, the choice that you have. I'm very proud, by the way, all our American team listening, that I have a green card, which was actually harder to get than walking to both poles. But I did get it. And I'm proud to live in America, and I'm proud of your country in lots of ways. But the amount of choice that you have is just staggering. And when I come back from an expedition, I just recently back from the South Pole, and you come back and you go in just a modest, I live in Auburn in California, where the gold rush started. There's not very many people there. And you go in just our little tiny supermarket thing. And I go in there and go, what? And literally, like you, I just stand there and go, how can I choose from all of this? There is just too much.
Yeah.
And I think what's worrying is that after a while, you get sort of desensitized to that, and you find yourself accepting the amount of stuff that is projected at us, and we accept all that. There's not possibly much we can do about it, but if we just do our little 1% and keep going. But I think that things have moved on, and we've just got to step it up in some way and keep trying harder. Because all that I see, you saw in Antarctica, and everything that I see around the world is, I spent the whole of this summer, ladies and gentlemen, I have to do a lot of training for my expeditions, and I spent the whole summer sitting in my house in California with wet towels around the windows to stop the bloody smoke coming in. And I couldn't get out on my bicycle, I couldn't run in the hills. And I thought, this is completely and utterly insane. Maybe you might have 1 year like that in 10 years, but that's been the same for 3 years in a row in California. So, we have to listen to what our world is trying to tell us. And I don't think we are as much as we should.
I agree. You were mentioning that you were happy with the United States. Where do you hail from, Robert?
I'm an Englishman, born and bred, as you might have realized by the accent. And my son Barney is my only son. He lives in Australia at the moment. He got stuck there in COVID, and he's undertaking a great mission of his own to replant some of the oldest rainforest in the world. Where Barney's replanting rainforest, northern Queensland, there was rainforest there when there was rainforest in Antarctica. There's a thought. And he's replanting a whole section of it and creating a business so companies can support him and clean up their act. And he's doing a really good job. So, Australia, we spent a bit of time there. Not that I've seen him for 2 years because of COVID and everything, which is rather sad. Yeah, I would say sad rather than annoying. Sad. It sort of started off being annoying, but it's now a bit sad. And Barney's a big support to his father because, as you know, I've been on a mission for 35 years to cross on foot the whole of the Antarctic. continents, about 2,000 something miles on foot to go from one side of Antarctica to the other. And I got pretty near to doing that, as you know, and 600 miles to go. I thought I'd got it. Went with Barney, and my hip, the real hip, disintegrated, and Barney carried on to the pole and did a great job. And being an idiot, I went back to finish those 300 miles at the beginning of 2020, and I got 97 miles from the pole, and I took my focus off what I was doing. I started thinking about going home, having a pizza, warm bath, being an Englishman, cup of tea, seeing my mum. So my brain went off focus, and I got out of the tent, and I tripped over a piece of ice that I didn't see, and my new hip literally blew out of its socket and pushed out to here, and lying in the snow. Rather painful, I have to say. And on that day, I sort of was pretty upset, actually. But I did realise what it would be like to be disabled, which was something that I'd never really felt in my life, being lucky physically. And as you know, I've come back, and we now have a new plan.
And the new plan?
The new plan is that in your great nation, anybody outside America might be watching this or listening.
Yes, Luminaires, if you're here, please type in where you're from. So we have Emma, who's from the northeast of England right now.
Oh, right. Hi, Emma. I'm from Barnard Castle, County Durham. And that's where my mum lives. She's 106, by the way. She's on good form. And I just felt that in America, you all respect the military, which is very, I think, commendable.
Thank you.
And I thought, okay, well, I'll go back to the South Pole and have people from wounded veterans to come with me. So at the end of next year, 2022, beginning of 2023, I'm going back with a team, and we are going to do those 97 miles to the pole all together. And I've got women and men, and everybody's from different creeds and colours and backgrounds, fantastic people, great stories. Because I think that it's important we have really positive, strong messages, not just for veterans. And by the way, more veterans are taking their lives now in America than they ever have before. Because people have seen, imagine what it's like to have lost your leg for your country, and then you think, after seeing Afghanistan and everybody abandoning ship, what was the point? And every day you're struggling with pain and like no leg. Imagine what that feels like. So I think it's important that we have good, strong stories, not just for veterans, but for everybody.
Yes.
And I'm trying, as you know, to get veterans for the planet. Why not? How about that as an idea? Veterans getting out there with one leg, one arm, and doing their stuff for the planet. And I think that's a whole new little team of people I want to get behind to save Antarctica and do the right thing for our world. Why not? And the other thing is that if I go as a sort of Englishman to Kentucky, right? No one's going to bloody listen to me in Kentucky. But if you've got, a fabulous wounded veteran lady who's got a Purple Heart and, she's there with one leg, people will listen to her. So I've got a new force of people that will be listened to on this issue. You know me, I always think of ways that I can make it better rather than just sticking as it is. If you do the same, you get the same.
That's very true. Sounds like you're figuring out the system.
Work the system.
But also reciprocating, giving those who might not have a further outlook or a passion to do, and giving them a voice, not only to be exactly who they are and talk about who they are, but to also support Antarctica.
Well, yeah, it's a simple thing. I have a young man who lost his leg in Afghanistan when he was 19. And he's now working with me full time. And he said to me, he said, "Ron, I'm so glad I'm working with you because I feel I've got a mission." And all those, whether you're a girl or a guy, military people have a mission. And if you don't have a mission, you sort of haven't got much.
Yeah.
And that's why people are pretty upset and taking their own lives. But that's awful. But I want to expand that to get them on a bigger mission.
Well, you were, in my opinion, Robert, you were the guy to do it. You are always somebody who's natural as a leader. You're definitely not confining to anybody's like rules. You know, like you're always looking outside of the box. I mean, when somebody tells you you can't do something, it's like, I don't want to say the words that I'm not going to say online, but like, back at you, watch me do it.
We're on with it. No, but remember, it's not me, it's us. You're always with me. You know that. Every step of the way when I do all these things, yeah.
We all are.
No, but you are especially. And, you know, it's you really got one life this time round. What happens next, I've no idea, but you kind of know more about the sort of thing than I do. But for this time round, in this outfit, in this thing I have, I just believe one should try to leave this place in a better shape than when we were born. And that's going to be a bit of a job right now.
Oh, but we can do it. We can definitely
I know
do
we
it.
are doing it. There's no question about it.
I am posting right now your Instagram, and I want you to know that Emma, Jamie, can you please tell Robert that I'm from County Durham too? This is so inspiring. Virtual hug.
Excellent. Well done.
Hometown represented.
Represented hometown. I bet the weather's awful in County Durham this evening. But hang on in there.
And Carmen Nickerson, thank you so much for the financial energy that you just sent over through YouTube. We are live streaming today on Facebook platform as well as YouTube. Carmen says, thanks for what you're doing. That is you. I'm pulling $10 out of my pocket and I'm giving it to you.
What? No, well, we're on it. And, you know, let me tell you, anybody's watching here, that, you know, Jamie is, you know, a dear friend of mine, and we love each other. We've known each other for a long time over the years, but every time we see each other, there's a new step to take. There's a new mission that we sort of go, oh my God, we better do that. Right, game on. And it's like that every time, isn't it? It's another step. And I think that's really important in friendships. But again, if you do the same, you get the same in friendships. But you and I always have an extra kind of, oh my God, we never thought about that. Right, we better get this done. Yeah? Yeah,
so my new thing is I want you, luminaires, those who are shining light in the world, to please put Robert Swan on your radar. Like, you have your Instagram, go follow him. Facebook, follow him. Keep updated to what he's doing. There's always something magical happening in your world. I want you to know where people are from. Belgium, the land of Dixie Dancercore. Dancercore? Is that how you say it?
Oh.
Look, I love it. Do you want these?
Possibly. No, these glasses are very strange. They're actually quite spiritual glasses.
I think he looks good in them.
Dancercore? No idea.
No idea? But it's Belgium.
Belgium, hi Belgium.
Yay.
One of my great heroes and inspirations come from Belgium. Eddy Merckx, the great cyclist, because that's one of my great passions, is bicycling and cycling, and been unable to do that for the whole of the summer in dear old California. So I'm moving across the United States of America to be on this side. In Charleston, South Carolina is the next port of call early next year, about April.
Yay!
The drive across America. It's always something I wanted to do.
You're going to love it. You got to stop at like the cheeky
of course,
US stuff, like largest rubber band ball.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Rubber band ball, largest dinosaur. Yeah, done.
So we have Regina, who's watching in Alabama. JD, I heard you say done. I did not dismiss that. I'm expecting a phone call and an invite. JD is from Atlanta.
Is there really a place that has the largest rubber band ball?
Yes, there is.
Good.
I'm
I'm
going to
going.
send you an almanac or whatever it is that has them all listed so you can map it out.
I've got it.
Sally Jeffries, hey Sally, is UK, Birmingham. Yeah, I said it right, Birmingham.
Birmingham, yes.
We have Tiffany in San Fran. We have Scotty from Nova Scotia. Christine Kakris is from Melbourne.
Australia.
Australia represented.
My son
You did
Barney's
good,
up in
Isaac.
Cairns. Christine from Melbourne there. He's up in Cairns doing his rainforest action. And if your country eventually allows anybody in, I'm looking forward to visiting my son for the first time in 2 years.
Wow, really?
Yeah, well, it's been tough. You know, Australia's been pretty rigorous with this COVID thing, not allowing much to happen. And I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that they might allow me in there. See my bride.
Hey, Demon says my dad knew him. Your bestie that you were just talking about? Oh gosh. Demon is from Dixie Walkisdalso in the South Pole. The South Pole?
But who would I, or maybe I'm losing my
We're
brains.
both losing brains. It's okay.
Well, who would I have mentioned? Sorry about that. It's called memory disintegration and general loss.
It's called being in the flow.
Being in the flow.
Being in the flow. We have Colorado, Miami, Canada. Marlene's from Canada. And Kelby is confirming, yes, I totally adore Charleston, and she is officially stalking you now.
Gosh.
There you go, you got a stalker.
Stalker.
Kelby is a great person to have being stalked by. She's
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Small world connections.
Well, it's good. It's exciting, and thanks so much everybody for kind of being with us today. It's actually something that I'm trying to build slowly in the future to get people behind saving Antarctica, is to do more of this stuff. And this one here seems to become rather a professional to all of this.
What, live streaming?
Well, yeah.
Well, it's how the world turns
I know,
now.
I know.
I would put you like in a little Eddie Merrick.
Eddie Merckx, yes.
Merck, sorry.
Yeah.
Glasses.
Oh.
So there you have it. Their dad knows them.
Right. Oh, right. Sorry.
Small
Yeah.
world.
Sorry. Small world. Yeah. He was the finest and greatest cyclist of all time, and he did it without any drugs or anything. Fantastic guy, and a great ambassador for Belgium too. Really special guy.
See, his brain hasn't disintegrated anywhere.
Really.
Yes.
There's always hope.
So I'm hoping that we'll see more of Robert when you come to the East Coast.
You will certainly see more of me when I come to the East Coast, and you know, for everybody watching, Luminaires.
Yes.
You know, I went to this COP26 thing in Glasgow, as I said, and
What is that?
that's the meeting of all the leaders about the future of our planet. And all the leaders got together in Glasgow and UK, and you come out of that thing and you sort of think, yeah, all this blah, blah, blah from the leaders and all these people sort of mouths moving, saying they're going to do all these things. And then you've got all the young people really angry and furious faces sort of going, we hate everybody and everything. And I just think that, you know, we do need to shed some light on these things, because if it's all so grim and negative, no one's really ever going to do much.
Right.
So I'm a huge believer in this idea of saying, okay, you know, imagine walking to the flipping South Pole and it's minus, 82 and your fingers have gone to pieces. Well, you're not going to sit there and be all upset about it. You've got to actually try and find some good and move the thing forward. And I think that's why I love what you do, because, you know, we've got to bring light into this deal. And consequently, you know, I'll be doing more of this. You can come to Charleston and we'll do a special broadcast together.
I would love that.
Maybe at the rubber band. This thing is a rubber ball made of rubber bands, is it?
The largest rubber band ball, yes.
Right, okay. I'm going there. Where is it? Do we know?
I can't remember.
Okay,
It's in the
that's it.
Midwest.
Of course. That's when we probably do our next broadcast from the rubber band. And trust me, that's not an idle thing in my life. You know, if you say you're going to do something, at least we should try to find out where it is.
Okay.
Done.
I have 2 questions for you before you try to close this up. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. What do you need?
What do I need? I need gradually to increase all this stuff that you're all part of. So when Jamie kindly says, follow on Instagram and all of that, that starts to count eventually. So more likes, joinings, that sort of thing, it helps hugely to do a couple of things for us. One is that obviously we have to raise money to do all these expeditions and go to the Antarctic and all those things. And it sort of shows that, people are actually interested in what we do. So yeah, following work. And I think the other thing that I need is to just feel that, there are people out there like you who bothering to watch 2 lunatics on live Facebook in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day. And I think that's important for my spirit to know that people like you are out there. And therefore, that's all I need, to know that there are people out there that care. I need to know that you're okay. And do all that liking business and I'm done.
So Luminaires, if you're looking to make an impact on the world, to participate in shifting and changing the world, to be the change in the world that you want to see, it can simply be by putting eyes on Robert Swan and his efforts. He's got a system in place already that has taken him his whole life to put into place, and he just needs more of us to put light on it to help him. So that is one thing. And I'm going to stand corrected, as Sarah Bahias has researched where the largest rubber band ball is. It's actually in Florida.
Florida, that's it then. Florida or bust.
It's in Florida. Okay, my last question is, what bit of advice or golden nugget, that kind of golden nugget, our friend Brain talks about the golden nugget, do you apply to your life to stay inspired or on that path that fulfills your life?
I would say that I think it's really, really important that you think quite carefully before you make a commitment. And you should think carefully. But once you make a commitment, you should really, really go well outside the box to try and deliver on it. And it really inspires me when somebody goes well beyond when they say, Rob, this is what we're going to do, and they do it. Or I equally respect them if they say they're going to do it, but then they come back and say, look, Rob, this was an absolute nightmare. We tried this. It didn't work. Is there a plan B? Either way, I'm happy. And that inspires me. That's the golden nugget for me, is think carefully, make commitments, and then do it. Because, there's too many empty words in this world right now. And I think they are bad news that people just hear blah, 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 blah. I think we all should be people that somebody says something and you think, wow, okay, that's going to happen.
That's what I feel when you talk. I go, wow, he's going to do that. Wow, 2041, I used to think was just so far away, and you could always saying, it's right on our doorstep. It's right on our doorstep. You guys, you got to wake up. You got to wake up. Don't let somebody come in and swoop these resources. Wake up, wake up.
Wake up.
You spearheaded cleaning up a lot of the...
yeah, we took rubbish out from Antarctica, and, I think what inspires... the nugget, I haven't really got to the nugget. That was my sort of advice, I suppose. Sorry, boring me. That was but my advice. But I think the nugget is to, and I've yet to find it, but my mother, when you say to my mother, Mother, why the hell are you 106? And she says, well, possibly because I had the worst son ever, because I was her last son at number 7. And I said, no. She says, because I've looked for laughter and joy in my life. And that's the golden nugget that I'm trying to look for. which I never found yet. I've never been a particularly happy person because I've always been completely and utterly focused on doing the stuff that we've done. And I never think it's too late in life to do anything. So I'm on a sort of trying to go for the laughter and joy mission more than I ever have. And I think that's the golden nugget I'm looking for. I haven't found it yet, but I feel I'm sort of touching it a bit on the edge.
I'll give you some laughter today.
Done.
I'll fill the bucket up for today.
Bucket for today.
Good. You're the best. Thank you for wanting to do this. And
no, but no, of course, I'll do anything to help you.
You throw
and
me
help
in front
me.
of the camera. Well, I wanted to share a little bit. Oriel Illuminaire says, years ago when I discovered various YouTubes about South Pole Station and bases, I spent weeks watching them because it was so fascinating. Thank you for all that you did and do. Got a lot of loving out there.
Well, please, at the beginning of 2023, and yes, that's the thing, dreams can come true. Okay, so for those people having a rough time, okay, imagine you want to do 600 miles to finish the crossing of the Antarctic continent, which is completely insane in the first place. But you've got 600 miles. You're probably one of the best polar travelers there's ever been, supposedly me, and you've got 600 miles to go. Easy squeezy, not a problem, got it. Go off with your son, your real hip disintegrates. 300 miles in, you got 300 miles to go, you go back a year later, your hip then falls out, the real hip falls out 97 miles from the pole. You then come back, you raise all this money, and then COVID cancels it. So time and time and time and time again, I've been pushed back from the very thing that I've always been the best at and a great success. I failed in everything in life, but I've never failed to get to the pole when I said I was going to do. Now it's stacking up like 1 and 2 and 3. But from that has come the greatest success of my life. And I have waited ever since I was 11, reading National Geographic magazines, to dream that one day National Geographic would make a film about something that we'd done. And after all these setbacks, bingo, National Geographic are making a film about myself and the wounded veterans making that journey to the pole. That would have never, ever happened had we done the whole thing on day one with Barney when my hip fell to bits.
Thank you, hip.
What I'm trying to say is that all of us have been through a bit of a rough time lately. It's not easy, and I don't think people have really recognized how much damage this has done to people. But I think, our little story shows that if you keep hanging on in there, some extraordinary things can come out of perceived failure. Because I didn't fail on those 2 other things.
No, you did not.
I thought I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That way?
Yeah. Well, I fell to bits. My hip fell out. Everything went wrong, and I felt let down my son. I felt I'd let down the sponsors. Everything. I felt complete failure. But now I don't. So I hung on in there, kept going, and the very thing I'd always dreamed of all my life, a National Geographic film, it's happening. God knows what I'll say in the film, but I'll think of something.
We're totally going to watch that live as a group together. Yeah, we will create a live show when it comes out.
Done. Plus the rubber ball in Florida. It's going to be a busy year, really.
It's somewhere in Lowerville or something. Ed Gonzalez, the rubber ball. Sally Jeffrey says, failures make you reach your goal.
Exactly. And that's something I'd never really realized before, because it's all a journey. And I feel I've started a new journey somehow. You know that about me. It's a new journey now, slightly different, which is good.
For what it's worth, even though it's just my opinion, I am so proud of you. And for not giving up. Like, you are who I aspire to be if we ever choose to grow up.
Oh.
I know. I think about you so often. I wonder if you ever know that.
Of course I know that.
Like, almost constantly. And when I pick up trash, and like, I blame this on Robert Swan. I mean, I was a trash picker up before, but never the dedication that I have now. Not like this big, we've got to take care of the earth. What are people doing? What's happening? Like, I blame it on you.
Well, good. Keep blaming.
Good. All right. To everybody here, thank you so much for lending us your ears, your time, your resources. And please, our ask right now call to action is put Robert Swan on your visible list. Check him out on Instagram. The links are in the chat thread as well as Facebook. And I also put up, if you're interested in his Veterans for Antarctica fundraising, and if you just want to keep track of that, of when it's happening, that's up on his website too, and I put the link up. So,
thank you all so much for being part of this, and this is a very special human being, and you all know that anyhow, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So glad to be part of the team.
Yeah, part of the team, yes. So this is the part where we say goodbye.